wanted to let you know a little bit about myself before you watch this video. I have worked for a television station in San Francisco for many years, and I did electronic graphics and artwork for them, and I did win an Emmy in 1984 for the Summer Olympics doing electronic graphics on every basketball game. I know that was a long time ago. And then I became retired, moved to Idaho, and I have been teaching paint parties here, and I'm with the Idaho Watercolor Society. I love painting and I like to share my art with others, which is why I teach paint parties. I decided to start this YouTube channel so that you would have someone you can paint along with, and I'm going to be teaching you step by step how to paint different paintings. For instance, paintings like this. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad you joined me, and I look forward to putting on videos for you every week. On Fridays, I will add 2 or 3 new paint-alongs. So do subscribe, and you'll get notified as to when the painting is showing up. Okay, let's get started. So today we're going to be painting the black and white vase with the pink flowers. And I've got my paints here. We have some aqua color. It's called Laguna. If you use the Deco Art paints, it's Laguna. Or you can get any teal color. I have white. I have a fuchsia color, lavender, and this is really pretty. It's an Extreme Sheen Deco Art. It's called Pink Tourmaline, and that's for the flowers. I'm going to use that. You don't need to. I also have a dark green and a black. So let's get started. We're going to start by painting the background with teal and white. So once again, I am waking up my little brush in the water, and then I'm going to wipe it off with paper towels. I always have a lot of paper towels around. So let's get started. I've got white and teal on my brush because, as I've told you before, I like to mix the colors on the background instead of just having one solid color. And I'm putting all these colors on the background. So what I think I will do is speed up this video so it won't take quite so long, but you take your time. I'm using a square brush. If you'd rather use the big round brush, you can, and you can come around this way. I use the square brush and I use the edge of it to go around where the flowers are going to be. Got most of the background done. If you noticed, I covered up some of the leaves with the background, and that's okay. I'll come in later and put them in once the background dries. Now the vase is sitting on something, so I'm going to be making this part of the background darker because it's actually a table. So I'm cleaning off my brush, and I'm going to just use the teal color, and we're going to take it across. I went down there, but this table is running across that way horizontally. So I am going to paint it horizontally. I like to paint in the direction that the items are. So if it's a table, I usually do it horizontally. If it's a sky or background, I could paint it going vertically. Doesn't really matter. But for the table, I like to take it across this way, and you really see the separation between the background and the table. So we've got this going. I'm going to paint around this flower. So I've dipped my brush, that tip of it, so I can come around this way and have a nice line where the flower is. I use that edge of the brush as a way of going around the flower without having a tip on the brush, if that makes sense. Okay, so we've got that done, and that will dry very nice. I'll come in later with the leaves. Okay, so our next step, we are going to grab some white and pink and start to fill in the flowers. And I'm going to use a square brush again. You can use a round one, but I'm going to keep using this little square brush that I get them at Amazon, and when they get old, I just throw them away. You can get like 20 of them for a really good price. So I've got white and I've got fuchsia. This is called double loading your brush. One side's white and one side's fuchsia, and I like to do that to have a little dimension and different colors that I'm laying down. We'll be coming back to these flowers later. I'm just putting the first base coat down. I just like to have different colors instead of them all being the same. So I'm coming around and I'm turning my brush so parts of it get white, parts get fuchsia. Now where the flowers are meeting, I want to have this a little darker than that. So I'm just going to use the fuchsia part so you can see the difference between that light flower and the one that I just put in. And it doesn't matter which one is light or which is dark. Now I've got more white that I want, so it's next to that. You can see the separation of the flower. So I've got white on my brush and I'm going to put white here. After you paint, you could always separate the flowers with black paint, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to show you how to do the difference. There's white here, so I'm going to use mostly fuchsia against that color flower. And then I'll pull the different colors in. And here we've got a darker one up against those. And then I need some lighter over here. So once I put the dark, I'm going to dip my brush in the white and come over here with a lighter color. So even though I'm just using two colors, there's quite a variety. And here it's a little darker. And then down here, we need a lighter color. So I'm dipping in white and then a little bit of pink, but I'm going to try to get more of the white there up against that flower. And then I've got white there. And a little bit more fuchsia up against this flower. Okay, so you can kind of see there's a difference in the flowers when you do that. Once again, I've got a little bit of white up against this flower, so it's lighter, and then a little darker here, so I'm using the fuchsia color in here. Okay, and then here I'm going to do it darker with the fuchsia. So I still have the two tones, but if you notice what I'm doing is up against the other. This is fuchsia because that's light. So I'm dipping it in fuchsia and putting fuchsia here up against that flower. And this one, but this one needs a little light, so I'm going to put some more white in here. And anyway, so then we've got the flowers done. The first step, anyway. They're not done yet. We'll have more fun with them in a little while. Now, if you want to move along faster, you can always hit, there's a little gear button on YouTube that you can hit and you can speed up the video if you'd like to. Okay, so I just cleaned off my brush and I'm going to add some purple to the flowers. We've got some lavender type flowers in here. So with that square brush, I'm going to use the tip of it and I'm going to put some purple on that brush, just that tip part. So I'm going to be going, just tapping on my canvas where I want the purple flowers. And I'm going to put some up here. And I mean, you can put them anywhere you want, but according to the photograph I have of this painting, this is where they're going. And they're just kind of sticking out. That's going to be a leaf there. So we'll have some there. And we've got some coming out down here. This is a really easy way to paint lavender flowers. You can use that part of your brush and it makes it a lot easier to paint them than trying to paint all the little different parts of the lavender flower. And we will come in later with some white to add highlights to those flowers. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna add a couple more up here, take it up a little bigger. I'm gonna clean off my brush, wipe it off, and then I wanna put some purple streaks on the table. So once again, I'm going to do a little bit of purple on the brush and just put some streaks here, just to add some dimension to the table. There we go. All the things I do with this one brush, I tell you. Okay, so we're gonna do some white, a little bit of white and teal on the vase because we want the vase to look round. So when we paint it, we don't just want it to be pure white and black. So I'm going to once again get my white on this brush with a tiny bit of teal, not too much. So I want to make sure I don't have too much. So I'm going to use my plate as a palette to make sure that color is not too dark. I'll keep pulling white until I get it to where I like the color. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull it around this section of the vase. Not the whole thing. Add a little more white as I take it down. So this just gives it more of a round shape when you're done. And I'm going to do it on this side as well. Okay. And down in here. Okay, I'm going to clean off my brush. And we're going to work on let's work on the green leaves now. I'm going to use my round brush. I'm going to use a size 12. You can use a 10 or an 8. I'm just going to use the larger one for now. With the dark green that I showed you. You know what? I think we'll paint this white first. So let's just use this brush, load it up with white, and let's finish doing this. And we will still be able to see the line where you're going to be adding black. There's going to be some stripes of black, so you don't want to put the white on too heavy. And I'm kind of blending it with that teal that we put in. Sometimes I do this after. Oh, I forgot a flower, didn't I? Look at that flower down there. Guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna go back and paint that flower right now. There we go. So let's go back. I gotta clean off this brush that I just used because I'm gonna use it again. And never keep your brushes sitting in the water because then they wear out really fast. So once again, I've got my little square brush. I need to do some white with the fuchsia, just to do a little flower in here. If you ever notice you forget something, just go back and do it. It's not a big deal. There we go. Now I'm going to clean that brush. So I'll have it for later. Back to my round brush, and let's go back to the dark green. And the way I like to do leaves, I do like to use the point of the brush when I'm painting the leaves because I put the point up against the point of the leaf. And then I bring it down and just paint it in carefully. The pink is still a little wet, so it might pull some of the pink on the brush when you're going in there. You could always clean off your brush if you need to before you go to the next leaf. And I'm just doing the same thing with this one. I'm trying to be careful. Now what you can do is wait till the flowers dry before you start putting in the leaves. I just didn't want to take 4 hours to get this painting done. I know you guys like to move on. So I'm kind of getting things a little messy, but not too bad. Anyway, we've got the leaf done there. I have a little one in here, but I'm gonna wait on that for a minute. Let's get this one done. You don't have to follow your tracer totally. If You know, if you want to make the leaf bigger or smaller, go ahead. And I've got one here with a little line. And we have one here. Now I keep looking at the picture I have of what I'm painting, and I have it on my iPhone or iPad. I'm going to add some leaves here. So it's a good thing to have your reference photo available. That way you could make sure you're painting it the way you want to. And we go like this. And then I'm going to switch to the point here. And then we've got another leaf here. You can use an easel when you paint. Sometimes I like to just put it on a flat surface, and that way I can put my hand down on the canvas if I know the paint's dry, so that I have a little more control of my brush. And sometimes it's easier, or set it on your lap if you're doing something really tiny and you need a lot of control. I'm just going to go like this and do another leaf. I'm kind of making up these leaves now. I just wanted to put a couple of extras. There we go. There's the leaves. I think I got them all. Oh, I have this one in the middle here. The flower is pretty wet. I think I'm going to forget about that leaf. I'm going to add a little bit of pink in here and say, forget it. We don't need a leaf there. All right. So we've got the black paint is going to be the 3 stripes. We've got 1, 2, 3. Round brush, I just cleaned it off. I've got black paint on it. I'm gonna start at the top, and I'm going to start painting. Let's see, we've got the bottom is black, that's black, and that's black. Okay, so I've got to come very carefully with the black paint. My brush has something on it. I'm just gonna clean that off. And what I'm going to do is carefully paint these lines. Now I'm going to take my time, so I want to speed up this so you don't have to watch me paint very slowly. Okay, so we've got that done. We're going to outline this with the very small brush I have here, the tiniest one. This is a size 6 that I have. I'm going to get it wet, wipe it off, get some paint, and carefully outline this vase. Okay, I find I'm putting my hand on the canvas where it's dry, so I have more control over the brush as I'm bringing it along. And obviously where it's black, you don't have to outline it, but I want this a little smoother. So with the tiny brush, I can smooth that out so it's works a little better. And then I've got to do some outlining here. We'll get that like that. Got some color on there, so I'm going to wipe off my brush and outline this a little bit more here and cover that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And next we need to add some black we're going to add some black on the flowers to give them a little more texture. So we'll just use the same little black brush and do some little C's on the flowers, or half circles, just to give them a little more depth, a little more to them than what we have here. So I'm just doing little half circles. In the middle, and then here. I don't know what kind of flowers these are. They could be not gardenias, they could be carnations or camellias. I don't know. And you can do any color flower you want. I just liked that pink. I thought it was kind of fun. When I paint this painting at paint parties, people just really enjoy it because it's a fun painting to paint. Some paintings have a lot more detail work that you have to be so careful. This one you can kind of have fun with. And you can always go back later and outline the whole flower. I'm not going to do that right now, but you have to really take your time and be careful doing that. And we've got this flower with some, do you see what that added? I'm going to also add some white highlights at the very end, and let's do some down here. Okay, and then we can add some lines in here if we want. Once again, you don't have to. It's just an idea to give them more texture. Adds a little bit. I love to use white to make the painting sparkle. So I've got my small brush, put a bunch of white on there, and I'm just going to come in and put some highlights. And highlights here. It just really adds a nice touch to the painting. I'm just putting some little half circles and little dots of highlight. Try not to hit the teal or the black that you just put down. You could always wait till your painting dries. And do this later. It's up to you. Put some on the leaves. Lavender. And then on the vase, I'm going to put a line of white here. I kind of pulled the black because I don't have it dry, so I'm going to come back and put a little more white there. Clean my brush, get more white, and put a streak of it here. And more white over where I pulled the black. You should let your paint dry before you do this, by the way. And I'm going to put, I do have one last step I'd like to show you, and it's the black around the edge, because that's really fun. And it's that brush again, that square brush, and we're just going to add some black paint on this brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be holding it and going like this. And it just adds kind of a little bit of fun here. Whoops. Just makes it look a little old-fashioned, like a little frame. Okay, so hold your brush against the edge and pull it, and that will work really well. I kind of had too much paint on the brush here, so I'm going to try to get some of it to blend a little more. Okay. And that looks better. I'm going to try not to put too much paint on, and we'll go again. It's a cool technique to make kind of a frame on your painting. So I'm I'm hitting the edge and pulling it. And against the edge there and pulling it towards me. So it's against the edge and pulling it towards me. And one last part here. And I'm just pulling it towards me and letting parts of the brush hit the painting. You might want to practice it on the back first so you don't ruin your painting. I'll show you how to do it. Okay. I'm just coming around a little bit again here just to cover some of the blue up there that's on the edge. So it looks a little neater when you hang it. Okay, so if you want to practice it on this edge first, take it and go like that. So you're rubbing the brush this way, okay? You're just going like that and pulling it. So just that part is showing. So you're hitting the brush against the edge of the canvas and pulling it down. All right? So, how do you like that? If you like it, do it. If not, you don't have to. I hope you had fun, and thank you for joining me again on my YouTube channel. If you like it, please subscribe. The next painting that I'll be putting up is the flamingo with the hibiscus flower, so I hope you join us.